Now, in the article, you mentioned specifically mTLS. For those who might not be familiar, can you explain what mTLS is and why it's considered important in Kubernetes environments?
Yeah, so mTLS is mutual TLS, and TLS is transport layer security. TLS is super common. If you're listening to this, it's probably over TLS. Any website you go to these days is all over HTTPS, which is TLS. And so what mutual TLS means is we're just adding the reverse layer of authentication there. So when I go to a website like example.com, I'll go to example.com and get a certificate that they present that has their identity, example.com, in the domain. And then I verify that. And I know to trust it because there's a list of trusted CAs that I have in my machine. What Mutual TLS is saying is that as the client, like my browser, I'll also give you a certificate and say like, hey, I'm John, here's my certificate. And then the server can authenticate the client. Now, in like the web world, no one ever does this. Technically, you can do it, but if a pop-up on my browser came up and said attach your client certificate, when I visited a website, I would run screaming, right? So we've solved for the web authentication at a different layer, doing things like logins and things like that. But it's still a potential option that's useful for the infrastructure layer. So in Kubernetes, for example, what this would mean is that like any workload-to-workload traffic, not only is the server serving a server certificate, but the client's also presenting one that allows the server to authenticate them. So going back to like what I said in the front end to back end scenario, and we want to authenticate and authorize them, like a front end would actually have its own certificate that it would present to the back end to verify who it was, where it came from.